I just woke up, and you know what? I feel like talking about this. So as women, as girlies, why do we need to understand and listen to our gut feeling? Why? Because it's important. Okay? Because it's important. Let me tell you a story about me. And this is where you will need to know that understanding and listening to your gut feeling is so important, okay? It's so important. Listen up. So I was dating this guy, right? Look, I had like multiple relationships in my life before. But this one was serious. I had 2 serious relationships, and this was the second one, alright? I thought I was gonna marry this guy. Yeah, I'm telling you, I thought I was gonna marry this guy. I loved him so much because he showed me what a green flag relationship should be like. He showed me. He was, getting me flowers, writing me cards. He was doing all the right things. Oh my God. And I thought, oh my God, I scored myself a gold. I have finally found a man that is treating me right. Oh my God. And mind you, we were in a 3-year relationship. For some people, 3 years may sound very less. For me, that's 1,095 days with this person that I spent all my time, all my effort, all my energy with. Okay, all right. So we did have like some hiccups in our relationship at that time, but we sorted out, right? We just solved the problem and just moved on in life, right? Now here's the reason why I'm telling you that as a woman, as a female, as a girl, it's very important for you to listen to your gut feeling. It's very important. Why? Let me tell you. One day, he comes up to me and suddenly talks about a girl. This man that I loved, never once mentioned about another girl, suddenly talks about a girl. I will give you some context, okay? He's just telling me, he always goes on work trips, right? He's telling me that his colleagues told him that, hey man, looks like you're getting a little close with this girl. He comes up and tells me that while telling, hey babe, but you don't have to worry about it, okay? You don't have to. This is just nothing. My instinct, my gut feeling was at the top of its lungs, and it was screaming in my head. It was already telling me that, dude, this relationship is over. This relationship is over. I think you need to put a full stop. I was like, what? No, I'm not gonna let this end. Why? Because where am I gonna find a guy like this? Most importantly, I've already introduced him to my family. Why? Because I thought I was gonna marry this guy. We were talking about marriage, guys. Okay? My gut feeling was already like, oh, this is coming to an end. But I was holding back. I was like, you know what? No. I'm gonna fight for this relationship. And guess what? There is where I became a little bit of the red flag. I started asking him for things that he was doing and not giving anymore. Like, he would write me cards for my birthdays, and he doesn't do that anymore. He didn't do that anymore. And he would give me all these beautiful texts, and he doesn't do that anymore. Right? Towards when he started talking about that girl, he stopped doing all those, and he would ask about me, and then now his reasons, it was just, oh, I'm busy. And with that, I started asking. I said, hey, you used to do this, you used to do that, why aren't you doing anymore? I kept pointing out to him, right, thinking it would make him better, but it did not. It drove him away further and further away from me, and I was just trying to pull him back, and I was like, why are you going away from me? Why are you going so far away from me? It just ended. one day, before I thought I could even save it, it just ended. He asked for a breakup. I was angry. But a gut feeling in me told me, you are not the problem, it was the girl. He left you for the girl. But guess what? I still didn't trust my instincts. I still didn't trust my gut feeling. I was just so angry at who? At myself, because I thought maybe it was me. Maybe I was the reason why he left. Because towards the end I was really like, pressuring him a bit, and I feel so bad. And I wanted to ask him, right? But you know what? He refused to talk to me. He said, you know what? We don't need any explanation. I just want to break up. I just want out of this relationship. He left, leaving me with no answers, leaving me to blame myself. I feel so sorry for myself, guys. That 3 weeks of after our breakup, 3 weeks later, he texts me back. He asked, you know what? I think we do need a clarification. And at that time, I was like, I think this is where I need to get my answer. And then this time, I listened to my gut feeling. My gut feeling was like, ask him if he liked that girl. Ask him if he has fallen in love with that girl. That 3 weeks, we met. I didn't want to meet him physically, by the way. I was like, no, we'll meet online. We met online, video call. I asked him a bunch of questions, right? That is a story for another day, because today is all about gut feeling, right? I asked him a bunch of questions. He couldn't answer to any of it, but he answered to only one question. Did you fall in love with her? Did you like her? He said yes. There was no 1 second thinking. There was no delay in his answer. It was straight yes. If only I listened to my gut feeling the day he mentioned that girl's name, I wouldn't have spent that 3 weeks blaming myself, putting myself down to the ground, or hurting myself. That 3 weeks was miserable, was hell for me, because I was sabotaging myself, guys. I was crying, and I was keep blaming myself for pushing away a good guy like him. Hence why, girls, ladies out there, listen to your gut feeling. The minute it says, you know what, this is done, unfortunately, trust, it's done for. I feel so sorry and so sad for myself that 3 weeks I let myself live in hell. After I got that answer, it's not like I could move on, no. But after I got that answer, I spent the next few months feeling sorry for myself. And yeah, I will tell you guys a story about this whole relationship thing one day, because I want you guys to learn from me that just because a guy is really good, a green flag, doesn't mean he has to be a husband. No. Learn from me. Another story for another day. But you know what? Today's life lesson, listen to your gut feeling. Listen. That is the only thing that will save you from misery. Till today, I have gut feelings telling me that, you know what, you shouldn't have this person in life, you shouldn't have that person in life. Sometimes you couldn't really cut that person out, because they might be a good friend of yours, or maybe they might be just colleagues, or maybe they might be just people in your family, but you have no choice, but you couldn't cut them off because of certain reasons. It's okay. If your gut feelings already telling you that you need to cut them off, put a boundary. That's when you need to understand. You need to put a boundary. Alright? Okay? I hope you learned something from my story. It's gonna be 10 minutes. I don't want to take more of your time. Trust your instincts. Trust your gut feeling, ladies. And that is going to save you a lot of time. That is going to save you a lot. Goodbye.